we're going to do a promo of our video, of our streaming. So I would like to know if a volunteer could be beside me. Ray, would you mind? Just a little promo. Okay, and we have to stand in front of here, and we're going to do a promo for people to watch the video.
All right.
Now the thing is, you don't know about this, right? You don't know that you didn't know about this in advance, right?
No, I did not.
So you didn't know. Some knew. But the thing is, so we're just going to do a slight little promo. So 3, 2, 1. You just need to smile, okay? That's all you need to do. 3, 2, 1. Hey, my name is Pastor Kevin Robertson, and welcome to our service today. Today we're going to talk about 5 things on how to deal with annoying people and annoying members of the church today. So join us today as we deal with annoying people. Thank you. No, I'm just joking about that. You know, I hopefully that could be. Did you watch his facial expressions? The thing is, there are times when people as pastors, now Ray has never annoyed me, but people are just annoyed pastors. Like, you're going, why am I giving this person rent space in my head? Why am I trying to do this? Why am I trying to do that? Why am I trying to please this person? You cannot please that person. Now, it goes back the other way. Pastors can be annoying as well. And we know that. Because I've been here long. You ask my staff, they can tell Pastor Kevin can and is and will be annoying. So how do you deal with it? And so today we're going to learn about the challenge here on how to have a peace even in the midst of difficult people and difficult situations. Now, of course, if you were honest, the real challenge usually is within ourselves. Like, why are we allowing this person to get to us so bad? Why are we giving them rent space in our head? Why am I doing that? And it's interesting because some people can be on your nerves. And you're going, that's a representation of you. Why is it bothering me? So follow me. The bigger question is what happens inside of us when we encounter someone who is difficult. Why does one compliment stay with us for 3 days? Why do we replay our conversation over and over? Why do we feel responsible to fix somebody else's mood or make sure everyone else is happy? Sometimes another person's approval seems to lift us up, while their disappointment can leave us questioning ourselves. We all know what it feels like to carry those invisible burdens, don't we? A few weeks ago, I did a follow-up appointment on June 25th. That day will go in history for me. Because if you guys don't know, I've had a valve replacement in my heart. And on my 30-day checkup was great. And then my 60-day checkup, they were going, ooh, there's moderate leakage coming out. And so basically, they gave me 4 different options. 3 of them they couldn't do. So the only option was to have open heart surgery if it continues to bleed. And so then I came back 30 days later, June 25th, and he came in, and I remember stressing out so much. And he looks at me and says, you know, we looked at the echogram, and it's only bleeding mildly, which we expected. So we'll see you in January for a follow-up. That's what was said. And I was going, he lasted 5 minutes. And all my anxiety stopped. And I was going, oh my goodness. But the doctor gave me 2 things that were actually in my control. He said, you need to lose weight, and you need to go on low sodium, low salt diet. And I go, I can do that. Do I want to? No. I don't know if you know, there's a lot of salt in our food. And so when I'm going, I literally went to Arco Station to get some snacks, and I stood there for 10 minutes looking at anything in there that has no salt or no soda. I left without eating anything. I'm going, man, this stuff is junk. And then you realize the cheese Danish I had, it's on the ingredients that I used to eat all the time, it says serving for 2. So it's double the calories, double the salt, double everything. If you look at the count, I go, how crazy these people are. And so this is where it's important to understand. So finally, Jennifer says, you know what? You need to start focusing on stuff that you have control over. And usually I focus on stuff that I don't have control over. So I finally took the girls' advice. This cleared a lot of space and energy in my life. And losing weight, reducing my salt intake. That's where I put my attention, on something that I could do for myself. And then all of a sudden, not change the whole world. So when the test came back, the doctor smiled and all this stuff, he said, you know what, you move on. But the thing is, he said something vitally important to me that stuck in my head. Whatever you're doing is working. Whatever you're doing is working. And I thought about that sentence a lot because it points towards something much bigger than my heart health. My worrying wasn't helping at all. Because what happens is that when I took my blood pressure at the doctor's, I have the white coat syndrome. I don't know if you guys have that, where basically the blood pressure's through the ceiling. And then basically you're trying to psych yourself up. I'm in Hawaii now. I'm doing this now. And he goes, it's 145/80. And I go, let's try it again. I go, it's not going to work. Just put 145/80, because I'm stressing out. And so when I was in Palm Desert, and the last couple of days, it was 120, 118, 111. Because of my stress level, my worrying level, put your blood pressure crazy. And so that's with you guys as well. And so when we start focusing on stuff that we have absolutely no control over, then our blood pressure goes up. So we spend an incredible amount of emotional energy trying to manage things that have never been ours to control. Other people's opinions, other people's choices, other people's emotions. We give those things far too much space in our minds. But before long, we are exhausted. And I wonder if it's part of what Jesus is speaking when he says, come to me, all who are struggling hard and carrying heavy loads. I will give you rest. Do you think Jesus knows what he's talking about? Our sermon series this summer is called Grow Up. And today we're talking about our mental and emotional growth. Oops, yeah. I'm sorry, man, I flipped that. Make a sermon like half the size. Okay. So the beautiful thing about today's gospel is that Jesus doesn't simply tell us to become healthier. He lets us watch what healthy looks like. And so we watch what Jesus is doing. We see what Jesus. When Matthew was writing this, there was nothing Jesus could do right. In fact, he was criticized in every direction. And John the Baptist lived a very strict life in the wilderness, and people said he was demon-possessed. He was Jesus' cousin. And so he's the one that actually baptized. He was a very godly person. But man, they thought, oh man, this guy's crazy. So Jesus enjoyed meals with ordinary people. What did they call him? A glutton? And they also called him a drunkard. No matter what either of them did, someone found fault in them. And I don't know, if I was in a situation, I was thinking, there's nobody I could please right now. I hear this, I can't please anybody. And so no matter what they did, someone found fault in them. And so follow me. Is it the kind of situation that could make almost everyone defensive or reactive? Yet Jesus never seems driven by the need to prove himself or silence his critics. Instead, he turns toward the Father in prayer. Through prayer, he rests in a relationship that always has defined him. His identity isn't isn't hanging on public opinion. It is already secure. So we see that in Jesus and we're going, now, that's what I need. I need that. Psychologists have a simple word for this kind of maturity. They call this differentiation. Now follow me. The word sounds complicated, although the idea isn't. Differentiation is the ability to stay deeply connected to other people without losing yourself. It's learning to stand on your own 2 feet. A differentiated thank you. Person can love others without needing constant approval from them. They can remain present during conflict without becoming overwhelmed by it. They can care deeply about relationships, although no longer believe that everyone else's emotions are their responsibility. Differentiation. Most of us never have been taught this because we learned about surviving when we grew up in families, didn't we? We knew when to keep quiet. We knew our fathers, when our dad got home, we knew to avoid him at all costs. Don't say it. When you sat at the dinner table, it was all good. You know, how was your day? It was real good, Dad. I hated that. Tell me what you learned today in school. Have your parent did that? And all of a sudden you freeze up and go, nothing. What am I paying the school for? Because I was in a private school. It's just, you get nervous and all of a sudden you're trying to say stuff. So most of us never been taught this. We learned ways to survive. Strategies served us when we were young. Perhaps keeping everyone happy felt the safest option. Go in the family. I don't want to tick anyone off. I'm out of here. Man, it was good. I was compromised who I am, but no fights. Maybe becoming a rescuer earned affection. For me, it did. Because I felt that I needed to earn love. So therefore, I needed to behave a certain way. I needed to act a certain way. I needed to do certain way. Or it might have been that conflict felt so frightening that withdrawing seemed easier than staying engaged. Now, I want you to follow me. Those patterns helped us make sense of life as children. The difficulty is that we often follow us into adulthood. They quietly shape our marriages, our friendships, our workplaces, and even our church families. Long after the original circumstances are gone, we continue carrying emotional burdens that were never ours to carry. One of the greatest, clearest signs is that these old patterns are still running our lives, where it's connected reactivity, where we react in a certain manner. There's stuff that goes on in my heart. They go, why am I reacting this way? Why am I feeling this way? Someone criticizes us, and we immediately become defensive. Someone disagrees with us, and we feel threatened. Someone we love is anxious, so suddenly we become anxious too. Sometimes we respond by trying to fix everyone around us, and sometimes we go the opposite direction and cut people off altogether. Both reactions usually come from the same place. Deep inside, our sense of self feels fragile. So we either try to fuse with other people or distance ourselves from them. In either case, someone else's emotional world has been controlling our own. Jesus offers this incredible new way here. After thanking the Father, he says something that's very surprising here. He says the wisdom that has been revealed to infants. Now, that's interesting to me, to infants. Now, I don't think he was celebrating childishness. I think he was pointing towards openness. Now, I want you to follow me on it, because this is vitally important. Infants have not yet spent decades collecting all their fears, shame, or false stories that life can hand us. Remember when you were a child, you had this incredible imagination. I can do this, I can do this. And all of a sudden you got these incredible dreams of being this person and all this stuff. and all of a sudden some adult just saps it right out of you, and you just conform, and your imagination is gone. Someone along the way, many of us learn that our worth depends on pleasing other people, performing well, or avoiding mistakes. Those lessons become heavy baggage. We carry them for so long that they begin to feel normal. Jesus gently invites us back to something deeper. Before all of those voices told us that who we were, those were already another voice speaking over our lives. You are my beloved. Growing up often begins by recovering the first and truest relationship with the divine. You are his beloved, who he's well pleased, period. That helps us explain why Jesus doesn't begin with instructions, but he begins with an invitation, which I think is interesting. Come to me. That's an invitation. Those may be three of the most beautiful words in the gospel. Jesus never forces growth. You know that. He invites us to grow. He never manipulates people into maturity. Love doesn't work that way. Love always invites because love honors your freedom. Right? It's not control. That's not real love. That is the one reason I struggle with the forms of religion today that motivate people primarily through fear, through shame, or through guilt. I grew up that way within the church. I'm a PK, pastor's kid. And so therefore, we have been shamed. We're motivated by guilt all the time. And all of a sudden, you're not transformed. It's called behavior modification. That's what it is. So therefore, there's not inner transformation of becoming Christ-like. It's, I want to fit in the church. So therefore, I need to behave and act, speak, talk the same way as others. That's the one reason I struggle. Those approaches may produce compliances for a while, but they never produce emotional, healthy people. Because it takes time. It takes time. If our picture of God is controlling, manipulative, or easily offended, we are most likely just projecting our own emotional immaturity onto God. We end up worshiping a larger version of ourselves, or the emotional, immature authority figures we grew up with. Instead of the God revealed in Jesus, the Father Jesus knows is already complete. God doesn't need to manipulate anyone to feel secure. Divine love patiently waits, gently invites, and quietly welcomes us home. It's a process. Just a thought. But then Jesus describes a remarkable exchange here. And how do you do that? He says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. In Jesus' days, the yoke was also an image for becoming a teacher's apprentice. Jesus isn't simply offering relief from exhaustion. He invites us into a different way of carrying life. See, we hand him the burden of proving ourselves, rescuing everyone, controlling outcomes, needing people to be different in order to be happy, searching endlessly for validation in return. We learn the way of living. We discover what it looks like and remain deeply rooted in the Father's love while fully engaged with the people around us. That's what we need to be. That differentiation is the most beautiful form. Jesus loves completely without controlling anyone. He speaks truth without becoming reactive. He welcomes people without taking responsibility for their choices. He remains steady when others misunderstand him because his identity rests somewhere deeper than public opinion. His life shows us it's possible to love generously while standing firmly on the foundation of God's love. There's what we need to get right. The wonderful surprise is that the way of living actually gives us more to offer the people around us. When we stop trying to regulate everyone else's emotions or trying to get them to regulate ours, we become more present to them. When we no longer need others to validate us, we become freer to love them as they are. And when we release what isn't ours to carry, we finally have the strength to carry what is. Healthy relationships grow when healthy people show up inside them. I keep thinking of my cardiologist when he says, whatever you're doing is working. That wasn't permission to become complacent. It was encouragement to keep practicing the habits that are bringing me life. Let me tell you, this is a way of life I have to do. I have to. I even asked the doctor, I said, how long do I have to go on low sodium? Forever. Okay? And so basically, it's not like this is just a 30-day. This is a lifestyle change for me to be healthier. This is what it is. It's called lifestyle. And that was encouragement to bring practicing habits that now are bringing me life. You know, all of a sudden, your motivation becomes real quick when your life is in jeopardy. And then you realize that the stuff that you need to do, that all of a sudden you're going, okay, it's working. Whatever you're doing is working. I got to continue to do it. There's no way that I can just do it. Jesus offers something familiar. He doesn't promise instant transformation. Mental and emotional growth is usually slow. That's why, you know, on January 7th, I told you guys I'm doing Tai Chi. And I told you my goal is, because I've tried to lose weight, and I just can't. And so what happened is I would say I need to lose 30 pounds by Easter. That's 2 months. And then I gain one, I quit. I'm done. I'm done, because I don't see the results. This is what made a difference. January 7th, I gave myself to January 7th of next year to be healthier, to lose the weight. So when I go up and down, I'm committed. I'm going up and down. There's times I lose, sometimes I gain, sometimes I lose, sometimes I think I ate something that had heavy salt. I was sick for 2 days. It just, your body adjusts, and your body's used to it, and then all of a sudden you get something and you go, oh my goodness, I'm not going to touch that again. And so what happens, we notice ourselves becoming, going ahead, mental and emotional health is slow. We notice ourselves becoming reactive, and instead of following that reaction, whatever it leads, we come back to Christ. We pray, we become still, we remember who we are, we release another burden that never belonged to us in the first place. Then we practice again, tomorrow. Over time, almost without noticing, we become steadier, more grounded people. It's a longevity. It's called, when can I stop trusting you? When? No. All your life, I need to trust you. All my life, I need to depend on you. It's not just a week. It's not 2 weeks. It's not all, it would be great if I could write a book, 3 days on how to get spiritually mature. And then I can blame you because you didn't do it right. And you need to buy another book. You can't do that. It's a process of becoming who God intended you to become. Jesus does not ask exhausted people to try harder. He invites weary people into a different way of living. He patiently teaches us how to stand on our own 2 feet while remaining deeply connected to others. He shows us that our identity has never depended on someone else's approval because it always rested in the love of God. So as we learn to live from a place, we discover that the burdens that we've carried for so many years start going, why am I carrying this? This is not mine to carry. Why do I feel like I have to keep my family together? Why do I have to do this? Let it go. Easy to say, because we have the guilt and shame and all that stuff that controls us. But you have to say, okay, what is keeping me from holding in this? Could be fear, could be control, could be something. But man, just to let it go. And I know if there's a burden today that you can literally let go, you would know how free you would be emotionally. And so the thing is, let it go. Easy to say, but this is one thing that I'm learning and practicing now. This is what growing up looks like in the kingdom of God. It isn't about needing other people to hold us together. It's deeply knowing that God already does. It isn't learning to care less about people. It's finally becoming secure enough to love them well. Jesus simply smiles, opens his arms and says, come to me and walk with me and learn from me. It turns out that's a gentle invitation that's been on the path of emotional maturity since I've been born. And therefore, I'm just figuring it out now. May God bless you, and may God bless His word.